Alright YouTube, welcome back to another video. Today's a little bit different. I want to we're going to go into detail a little bit talking about the new Honda e-bike. I don't know specifically what they're calling it. I don't think it's a CRF or a CR. I'm assuming they would have some different name for it, but as of right now, it's their prototype electric dirt bike. So I'm sure by now you've probably seen it on Instagram. I made a post on it on my Instagram along with pretty much every single other moto page has posted about this bike as of right now. So of course there are mixed emotions on the electric dirt bike scene. We all know that. It's either they love it or they hate it. Right off the bat, let me know what you think. Do you like the look of it? I personally think it looks real. I mean, it just looks identical to a Honda minus the engine and the battery being replaced with that. So I think it looks sick. Obviously this is the, I don't know, I think Honda goes the HRC model, the model that has like the upgraded parts. This is the upgraded one. I don't think that if they did release these, it would come looking like that as like the base bike. This would probably be the upgraded bike, and then they would have a stock bike with none of the aftermarket parts on there. I might be wrong, but if they release it like this, it's probably going to be really expensive, and we know how that went with ALTA, with the prices being over like 12 to 13 grand off the start, and people were not having it. So I think if they got the price around under 10 grand, it'd be more appealing to the majority of people. But regardless, people are going to hate on e-bikes no matter what until they ride one or kind of see a use for it. Like I've always said, it's not going to replace the gas bikes, just an added bonus, being able to ride wherever, whenever. Just a different riding than you normally would do with a gas bike. Let me know in the comments what you think of the bike or the look, if you would buy one, if they had it under, say, the 10,000 mark, and that's not getting rid of your gas bike. If you had the ability to purchase this bike alongside your gas bike, would you buy it? Now, there's no specs on the bike as of now. There's nothing other than a few pictures, which I'll probably play or put up on the screen throughout this video. Going over a few of the pictures here, it looks like they cut the radiator in half, because obviously it probably doesn't have to cool as much. I believe there's only one radiator on the right side based on the picture, and then based on the bar setup, it doesn't look like it's similar to the ALTA where it has a middle control unit. It just has the buttons on the left side and then the buttons on the right side, and no middle control unit. So it looks like there's maybe two different maps based on the left bar, and then on the right side, obviously probably just the on off and like the normal like start and go button, I guess you could say. But there's really not much to it. Maybe there's like a head unit in front of the bar pad, kind of like their enduro bikes would be. It's in front of the bar pad, but based on the pictures, you can't really see anything, and it looks pretty simple, to be honest. So in comparison to the ALTA already, this obviously is more of a race bike, I guess you could say, since it's based off the CRF. So I think, in my opinion, that partially why people didn't buy the ALTAs is because it was such a new company where people didn't really want to trust ALTA in the fact that they've only been going for 3 years, whereas Honda now has more of a loyal fan base where they might be more game for buying the bike because it's Honda. They know they can trust Honda, they know they can trust what they're doing, and they're not just some startup company that they don't really know much about. So that might benefit Honda, but regardless, it's not like Honda would go out of business if the Honda e-bike doesn't work. So that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that Honda will be successful with the e-bike game, but if Honda does successfully sell these bikes, that means Howie, KTM, Suzuki will eventually be on the electric bike game if they're not already trying to engineer something along those lines, because there's not just going to be one bike brand. They're all going to have their own specific classed e-bike. I believe that's probably within the next 3 to 5 years if this does successfully work out, whenever this if it even gets released, since it's just a prototype. But if it does get released in, say, the next year or so, and then by then, but they wouldn't release this, I don't think, without having something about releasing them in the works. But I could be wrong, who knows, what do I know? Regardless, I would want to have one and compare it to the ALTA and make some sick videos on it. But I think this stemmed from Honda being partnered with Monagan Motorsports. I don't know if that's Monagan, like I remember like Monagan RC, electric RC cars, if that has any connection. But I know they released if you guys saw, I think it was last year, that like T-Rex looking bike. I'll pop a picture on the screen right here of that bike. I'm sure a lot of people thought it was like somebody just made it in Photoshop. They actually had this bike on display, this little T-Rex looking thing. And I don't really know even what to think about it. It's kind of weird looking, but yeah, I'm sure it stemmed from that release of that bike, and then their connection with Monagan. But with anything, I mean, if people aren't going to buy it, they're not going to make them. So I think if they could get it, like I said, under the 10K mark, if they can be at the same like speed and power wise as the Alta and get more run time, that would be a huge selling factor. That's probably why the majority of people I know I've read on like the Alta forums and different comments is it's the run time that's kind of really pulling people away, because if they can only go to the track, sure, like I guess they don't want to bring a generator, they don't want to have to deal with charging it. I get that, but if you can get it to say last 2 hours on a track without having to charge it, that would probably be when guys would be more comfortable buying it. Even if I could go to the track on like a afternoon practice for a few hours and get most of the practice, and then maybe have to like plug it in for 20 minutes to maybe top it off to ride like the last 2 practices, I think that'd kind of be fine. But for what the majority of the guys with these electric bikes are doing, they're not racing them. They're not going to bring them to the track. They're going to tool around on them, trail ride them, and that's where the battery lasts the longest. As you've seen from me, where I can go ride for 4 hours and not have the battery be drained all the way, and I can still ride it even the next day. So it all depends on how you ride it, how throttle happy you are, what map you're in. Like if you're not in the highest map and just like getting on it for no reason, it's gonna last you long enough. Like I've said with the Alta, just the possibilities of where you can ride it and when you can ride it is like the really main selling factor for me, at least, and probably a lot of other guys. It is kind of funny though that right when Alta kind of announces that they're out and the other company purchased them, that this is when now all the other electric bikes come out with, from Honda, Harley, and everything else. So just kind of weird timing when all that happened. But yeah, there's not really much information on this. As you can see from like the engine pictures, I mean, I don't really know what to say about it. Pictures, I can't really see where the battery is necessarily, or how big the battery is compared to like the Alta. The whole battery's right there. It looks like they've got it kind of intertwined because they had to fit it into the CRF frame, so they had to kind of smush everything in, which is kind of concerning because the battery doesn't look like it's too big, and I don't see how they can get a longer run time than the Alta with a battery smaller than the size of what the Alta had. So if that made any sense. E-bikes are coming no matter what. If people like them or not, it's gonna happen. And it's the same thing as Tesla. Nobody liked Teslas, but look at it now. Everybody wants a Tesla by the looks of it. SUV version was the highest selling SUV out of any other SUVs in its class. Definitely saying something. Might not be for everybody, but I guess time will tell. Like I said, let me know in the comments what you think, if you would buy one, your thoughts on the look, the design, what you think Honda's gonna do, overall what you think. So if you guys enjoyed this video, it's kind of short, subscribe if you're new, give the video a thumbs up, share with your friends, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next video.